In this lesson, we are going to learn how to make our program make decisions based on certain conditions. This is a concept called control flow. So I have a diagram here that will probably look pretty familiar. Okay, so this will help us visualize this concept that when a condition or multiple conditions are true, our code is going to run through one process, right? If a given condition is false, then it's going to follow another process. And this concept is essential in programming. So even the first steps of most apps that you download probably follow this pattern. Think of like an application that requires a username and a password. If the username and the password match, then the app is going to log you in, right? If not, then it may present another option to re-enter or reset your password, okay? So control flow is used all over the place in programming. So let's go ahead and get started by opening up Xcode. We're going to get started with a playground here, and we're blank template as always. And let's call this conditionals and optionals. Go ahead and create this, and I want to put it on my desktop. Hit create here. Let's make this full screen. And let's clear out this code because we don't need it for now. Okay, so to make a control flow construct in Swift, we're going to start with the word if. Okay, so if. And you can see that the compiler is going to autocomplete an if statement in Swift, right? So if I click this will give us the general pattern of these conditionals in Swift, right? So if a given condition, then run this code, right? So anything that falls in these braces here is going to be the code that is run if a condition is true, okay? So let's go ahead and write a program for like a simple game, okay? And so we want to say that if a user beats our current high score, we're gonna print off you win. Okay, so something really simple. So let's say let high score equal 42 or something like that, right? And let's say the user score is 25. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start with this if here, and I can autocomplete. And if our user score is higher than the high score, then we want to print out you win, right? So let's go ahead and say if user score is greater than our high score, then we want to print out you win, okay? And if we run this code, we'll see that nothing gets printed out, right? And that's because in this case, our user score is not greater than our high score. Well, what if we change our user score here to be 50, okay? Well, if we run our code, we'll see that it prints out you win, right? So we're checking a condition. We're checking if the user score is greater than high score. If that's true, we're going to print out you win. If not, then we're not going to do anything, okay? And we'll talk about how to run a piece of code if the condition is false. But first I want to review here the basic logical operators that are supported in Swift to check a condition. So above we've used the greater than operator, right? So let me just comment these out. So we've got the greater than, okay, which we've used. We can use less than, so we could check if the user score is less than the high score, then we could print out you lose, right? So if user score is less than high score, print you lose. And if we run the code, it's not going to print anything because the user score is higher, right? So we've got greater than, we've got less than. There's also support for greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, okay? And if we want to check if something is exactly equal to, we're going to do equals equals, okay? And so it's important to note here that we're using two equal signs instead of one. Now, when we have one equal sign in Swift, we know that that's used for assignment, right? For assigning a value. So high score equals 42. But when we use two equal signs, then we are checking equality, right? So up here I could say if the user score is equal to the high score, print out you tie, or something like that, right? And if I set both of these equal to 50 and we run our code here, then indeed we see that we do tie, okay? And so the last one to be aware of is not equal to. If we want to check if something is not equal to, it's going to be exclamation point equal. Okay, so if user score is not equal to the high score, then we could say you did not tie, right? Did not tie. And we'll run our code, and we don't see anything, right? Because right now they're equal. But if I set one of these to something else and run it, we'll see that we did not tie. Okay, so now back to how we can run some code if a condition is false. Let's say that in this example we want to continue encouraging the user if they didn't beat the high score, right? Because previously we wanted to see if the user score is greater than the high score, then we want to print out you win, right? You win. But if not, well, we should maybe include something, right? We don't want it to just print nothing. So what we can do here is we can include an else statement. Okay, so else, and then we'll do an opening and closing brace. Okay, so this is the general structure of an if-else statement. So if a given condition is true, we're going to run this line of code. Otherwise, we're going to run any code that we include in these braces. Okay, so in this case, we could say else print keep trying. Okay, keep going. And I have some weird indentation there, so we'll make sure that those line up. Okay, great. So that's the basic structure of this if condition, else do this, else keep trying. Okay. Now, what if we want to check another condition? What if we want to have a condition of you win or you tie or keep trying, right? Well, what I can do here is I can actually say else and then if. Else if, and then check another condition. Else if user score is equal to our high score, then let's print out you tied the high score. Okay? And then we can include our else here that are otherwise print keep trying. Okay. So yeah, if we want to continue checking conditions and do something accordingly, we can use this else if, and then it follows that same pattern, right? If condition, then do this. Okay, so let's do another example down here. So let's say that I've got a name property. We'll say Woz for Steve Wozniak, one of the founders of Apple, right? So if our name property here is equal to Steve, then let's go ahead and print out hi Steve. Okay. Else, if our name is equal to Woz, then let's print out hi Woz. Okay. And if we don't meet either of these conditions, then let's just print out nice to meet you. Okay. So maybe we have a computer that only knows who the founders of Apple are, and anybody else they'll be happy to meet us, but they won't know how to greet us, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll run this code, and we see that we do hit the hi Woz condition, right? So if name equals Steve, well, our name is Woz, so we're just going to skip past that. Okay, let's check. Is our name equal to Woz? Oh, it is. Okay, so we're going to run this code. We're going to print out hi Woz. We've already met a condition, so then we're done running through this condition, right? We print out hi Woz. Okay, so hopefully that helps you kind of understand that structure a little bit more. So let's go through a few more examples, just small examples, to help you nail down some of these logical operators. Okay, so I'm going to type in just some quick little snippets of code, and you're going to decide whether the condition will be true or false. Okay, so let's start with this. So this is saying 3 is equal to 3. Okay, well, we know that that's true, right? Because 3 is equal to 3. Now, if we do this, well, we know that that's going to be false, right? Because 42 is not equal to 76, right? So we'll see false over here. Okay, what about this? Okay, so remember this exclamation point equal sign means not equal. So is 10 not equal to 10? Well, that's false, right? Because 10 is equal to 10. So we should see a false here. what if we do this? Okay. So we know that this is going to be true, right? Because 5, although not greater than 5, it is equal to 5. Therefore, it's true, right? It just needs to be greater than or equal to. Okay, if we do this, and we run that, we know that that's going to be false, right? Because 63 is not greater than 63. And yeah, so I think that covers most of them. So let's do a challenge, okay? So I want you to write an if statement that checks to see if a variable called temperature is 32 degrees or lower, okay? If it is, I want you to print out the words "it's freezing." If it's not, print out "it's not freezing," okay? So again, you're gonna have a variable called temperature, and if it's less than 32 degrees, then you're going to print out "it's freezing." If not, you're going to print out "it's not freezing." So go ahead and pause the video and do that yourself, and then come back and we'll run through it together. Okay, so we've got our temperature property here. So let's say let temperature equal, let's say 45 degrees outside. Okay, so we want to check if our temperature, and remember, we wanted to say if it is 32 degrees or lower. Okay, so translating that is less than or equal to 32, right? 32 degrees or lower. So if temperature is less than or equal to 32, we're going to print out "it's freezing." Okay, and if not, we're going to say print "it's not freezing." Okay, awesome, there we go. So in our next video, we'll talk about how we can combine some Boolean expressions to get deeper into these conditionals.